What's going on, everybody? This is the Board Certified Gaming Podcast, the video game podcast where everything's made up and the points don't matter. If you get that reference, I applaud you. If you don't, you have some research to do. Look it up. You'll thank me later. So, unfortunately, you're stuck with just me today. It's Andy. Amar will be back next week. If it turns out I'm your favorite host, that's awesome. I appreciate it. You're in luck. If you actually prefer Amar or don't like either of us, I can't really help you there. So, sorry. Today, I'm going to discuss a little game by the name of Call of Duty Modern Warfare. Maybe you've heard of it. If you haven't, then, look up. And if you see a rock, you're probably living under one. It's been out for about a month, and we haven't really talked about it much here since it released. We mentioned it before it came out. And what we were going to think it was going to be and the little tidbits we heard. But we haven't really talked about it since we've, had the chance to play it a bunch. And I have. I've played it a ton. And I'm just going to give some of my thoughts on it for you guys on this week's episode, just because, we need to give it its time. We need to, talk about it. And I'm sure you guys want to hear about it too. There is something I do want to say first, though. So this podcast is available wherever pods are casted. And we appreciate all of our listeners, wherever you guys decide to listen. We appreciate it, whether it's YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, whatever. I mean, you're pretty awesome no matter what you're doing. So, but make sure to subscribe, leave comments, reviews, likes, all that fun stuff, as well as, share it with people you know. I mean, we get a lot of our content out there via word of mouth, and, we can't thank you enough for your help doing that. That's honestly how we get to grow and improve what we're doing. And we also have a Twitter and Instagram account that you can follow for fun tweets and cool pictures. I tweet a lot on the Twitter account, and I try to take some pictures every once in a while. And we tweet out, whenever things are releasing or any news that's upcoming. So go follow those. The Twitter is at BCG Podcast, and the Instagram is just Board Certified Gaming Podcast. It's a very long name, but you can remember that and look it up. Finally, if you guys are enjoying yourselves listening to us talk about pretty much nothing, I mean, we talk about video games, we try, but we get derailed a lot. If you guys are having fun, consider checking out our Patreon page. However you guys choose to support us, whether it be from listening to us or sharing all of our content or liking us on Twitter, following us on Instagram, or, supporting the Patreon. All of it, 100% comes back to you, our listeners, in content that is, better and more frequent. We're always looking to improve what we do and make it better for you guys. You always have us at our best. We're not always at our best, but we try. And, with some of your help, we can be even better. And that's all we want, is to provide the best content for you guys and keep you enjoying it. So now we're going to get onto the game. So Call of Duty is a franchise that's been around a long time, actually. And it's been kind of weird because it's been going back to the past and forward to the future, like just almost every few years. It's like, all right, we're going back 20 years. All right, now we're going forward 30 years. It's just, they haven't run out of, but they're running out of actual wars to make games about, so they kind of have to make up ones as they go. Like, yeah, these guys are pissed at these guys because of some reason, and then you're right in the middle of it, or you are siding with one side because they're apparently good, but there are robots and all these mech suits and jetpacks and stuff like that. So they just got super weird. And then they were in space, and then they're like, yeah, let's not do that. Nobody liked it. And now they thought, you know what? There's nothing like the present. So they went back to modern warfare. We're back in the now. Is that what Back to the Future is about? I don't know. I feel like there's a Back to the Future reference in there. I got nothing. But with this year's game, they're back, and it's kind of full circle because Modern Warfare was the fourth Call of Duty, and this is the fourth Modern Warfare. So how about that? I mean, if that was their plan, I don't know, but it's kind of like full circle. So I guess props to you, Activision, for making that, because I don't know. I guess I'm giving them too much credit. They don't really deserve the credit for just saying, hey, they really loved this thing. Let's make it again. But, props where props are due. So I'm going to give my thoughts about the basic stuff first, like sound, visuals, gameplay, all that jazz. And then I'm going to go into like the different modes, like campaign, multiplayer, that, kind of thing. So just give my overall impressions of the game, how I'm enjoying it, what I'm doing, and just how I'm feeling about the game. So if you haven't picked it up yet, you can do your holiday shopping and pick it up. And maybe I sway you, maybe I don't. I don't know. We'll see. But overall, I'm having a great time with it. I'm a big fan of Call of Duty, and this is really it's new, but it feels familiar. So obviously it's the same universe as Modern Warfare, the original one, kind of the same characters, and it's just like got that same kind of feel, but it's new. It's the old Call of Duty 4 came out in 2007, and this one is out in 2019. So there is a 12-year gap, which there have been obvious improvements. So it's not, it kind of like is Madden, where, it's just the same Madden or FIFA sports games where it's the same stuff, just like a little bit different, like new characters or new players in the sports game. But this one, it feels different than the rest of them. Like it just has a different feel to it. And most of that is tied to the next two things I'm going to talk about is the visuals and the sound. I'm going to talk about the most important one right now, and that's sound. So just by putting on headphones and listening to this game, we got a little bit of taste in the beta or alpha and beta, whatever the hell was out. But we got a little taste, and playing it with headphones, I was like, holy crap, this thing sounds amazing. Like it sounds like unlike any other Call of Duty game we've had, which, I mean, I've heard a lot of Call of Duty in my life. So this one is just, they put so much money into the sound design. Like that's a lot of cheese to make that sound as beautiful as it does. It's just gorgeous. And you listen with headphones, it sounds like you're literally in a war and there are actual guns firing around you. Bullets are firing, flying. They do all that kind of stuff. There's explosions sound realistic. Like there's one thing they actually did is tried to make explosions like echo and last a little bit longer, because explosions don't just like, a grenade doesn't just blow up, boom, and then the sound's gone. Sound travels. It bounces and goes until it, dissipates, until the vibration dissipates. And in this game, they're like, all right, explosions from grenades, they last a little bit longer. So it's like you kind of feel like, wow, that was an explosion. It's still there. It's like, I feel like my ears should be ringing, but they don't. Thank God. It's not like that, overbearing, but it's just, you notice the difference in the sound about how this game sounds compared to other Call of Duties. It's like they actually took the weapons that you play with and were like, here, put a microphone up to this assault rifle, shoot it a bunch of times in, wide open areas, and that's the sound it is. So it's not that it's realistic, because it is, a fictional game with, realistic weapons and kind of a realistic scenario, but it just feels like this is like I'm watching a war movie with like actual guns being fired. Like it's pretty legit. So major props to Activision for just going balls out on the sound, because it's noticeable. You can tell that they really wanted to do something different. And the first thing you're going to do is, listen for the war sounds, because it's just this gigantic bonkers atmosphere that you're just dropped into. And now you're hearing a war movie, essentially. And, the better quality headphones and gear you have to hear it, even better. So that's sound already is what I'm noticing is super good. And then visuals is next. The visuals are pretty, like, not starkly different. It just feels so different compared to like Black Ops 4. Black Ops 4, which came out. It's not like, 4K to like 720p. It's not like that. It just feels different. Like it's better, but I can't explain why. It just has this more realistic looking feeling, Whereas you can tell it's animated, you can tell these people are jumping with exosuits and jetpacks and claw hooks and all this other crap. And they're just going so fast and they're just like speeding through. But this one just feels like real. Like it feels more real, kind of like a Battlefield felt. Like, not that it is Battlefield, but it kind of gives me a Battlefield Rainbow Six Siege vibe from the visuals. And if you've played either of those games, you kind of know what I'm talking about. It's realistic-y, but it's not like cartoony in any way. And it's just, like I said, I'm probably doing a terrible job of explaining it, but it just feels so much different compared to any other Call of Duty game I've played, especially from the first Modern Warfare. Like, I mean, it's night and day difference. Like, they are both kind of the same universe, but one just looks and sounds so much more realistic and better than the other one. It's crazy. And then finally, we're going to get into gameplay and kind of the feel of the game, which kind of ties into visuals. It's a lot slower than your typical Call of Duties that you've been used to over the years. Black Ops got really fast. You know, with the more modern games, they got super fast. Where it's like, you're running, you're gunning, you're taking people out and just blitzing through everybody and just going everywhere you can as fast as you can, jumping over stuff, wall running, jetpacking, all that other crap, which you can tell I'm not a huge fan of. But I mean, it was still a unique twist, but it got too fast for some people. And it's like, this is getting absolutely insane and so quick. I'm lasting like 2 seconds and then I'm dead, which still happens. You know, it's still, obviously the people that are terrible at Call of Duty games, period, are going to be bad and they can't figure it out to save their life. But this one just feels slower because they've added doors. So you have to actually open doors. You have to actually like go through them. You can close doors and you can just power through them as well. But it's still like, it's kind of chunky running, but not super chunky running. It's like whatever you're holding kind of matters. If you're holding a bazooka, or you're a gun that's like decked out with like 17 different attachments, you're probably going to run a little bit slower as you would in real life. If you're holding just a pistol, you might run faster and you can feel it. You can feel it in the running. You can feel it in like, okay, I am clomping away with my combat boots because I have a bunch of gear on me and I'm not just, some sprinter who can just beeline it right to the guy and jump on the wall and fly and do all this other crap. And then just, jump down and, beat a guy up with a knife. You can't really do that. You got to take it a little bit slower. You got to plan your moves. You got to think about what you're going to be doing. You got to, okay, if I go around this corner, I know this is a really big choke point and I know a bunch of people are going to be coming this way. So I can, mount up here, which is a new thing. You can mount on walls and on top of like tables and barrels and stuff just to like have your gun be stable and mount. And you can mount on the side of walls. So you can just kind of like peek out of a corner. It's like more strategic, I would say. Whereas the previous iterations of Call of Duty have been a little bit more, blitz-like. You want to just go as fast as you can and take them before they can get to you. This one's more like, let them come. I'm ready. Or, I'm going to have to go slowly because I don't know where they're going to come from. And I have to find a good spot to, walk slowly and take them out as soon as I can, or as soon as I see them, or before they see me. Like it's a different kind of feel, which I'm enjoying. I personally thought Call of Duty was getting too fast, and I'm like, slow it down, please. Slow it down. This is getting way too nuts. I get they want to go for like extreme and violence and, everybody's nuts and they want to kill each other. But this one's like, all right, you're actually like that's not realistic in a battle. You're not just going to run right in the middle of everybody with, a handgun and then just use whatever, you have like sledgehammer you brought. Like it's weird. So they're just like, yeah, this is like an actual, you need to be strategic. You need to pay attention to what you're doing. You can't just run in and expect to just murder everybody. Sometimes you can, if you're playing against a bunch of noobs, but that's not it's more the exception than the rule. Whereas the other Call of Duties the rule was as fast as you can gets you the most success you could ask for. So that's just the feel. It just feels, it looks better, sounds better, feels like more realistic, like an actual like gunfight and battle would be. And I'm already digging it. Like I'm giving it a lot of credit because Call of Duty has been in a bit of a rough patch in terms of games where they're like, yeah, we're making them, but it seems like we're making them too fast. We're trying to, push out the next one just because it makes us a bunch of money. And they're kind of relying on their name at this point. They're like, yep, you're going to buy it anyway and play it a bunch. It's got a battle royale mode, blah, blah, blah. And they're just like, whatever it is, if you don't like it, we'll just make another one that you're going to buy anyway. But they've been on the downturn. So less people have been buying them because other games exist like Fortnite and, Battlefield still is a thing and other shooters. So they really needed this to be different. They needed it to be the nostalgia factor as well as, a newness. Like, this is unique. Like, this is something you've never played before, but still kind of familiar to something you used to play. So I think they have a really good balance, because it has to be a delicate balance. And I think they've achieved that balance in terms of this feels like a brand new game, but it still kind of has that nucleus of the old one. And with that, I'm going to get into the game modes, which is kind of exemplifies that point. So I'm going to start with the campaign and spoilers, there are campaign spoilers that I'm going to mention. So there are things with the story. This game's been out a month. So if you haven't heard about them or experienced themselves or saw a video about it on YouTube, I mean, you should have. It's one of the most popular games of this year already. So go check it out or go watch them or go play it, before I ruin something for you. It's not really that spoilery. It's just there are details about it that you only get the true effect of it by playing the campaign. And, I'll wait. I'm kidding. I'm not going to wait. I'm not going to wait. I'm just going to go into it. So the campaign is pretty nuts, actually. Like, it's pretty gnarly the way it's not your typical Call of Duty campaign. There's always the same, okay, you're 3 different dudes and then one dies. So then you're 2 different dudes. And then you're just all going through these different battles when it seems like there's somebody that's the main evil guy who's teamed up with another guy. And then you just need to go infiltrate a bunch of places, take some people out, find an informant and all this other junk. And it's been kind of repetitive where there's always a twist. Like, there's always a big twist in the middle. Like, the villain was actually this guy, or you die, like, shockingly. And you're like, what? I'm dead? And like, all these guys are dead. So we have to be someone else. Like, or my favorite character is gone. Like, it's not typical, but they've been kind of hitting the same notes. Whereas in Modern Warfare 2, there was the no Russian mission where you go through an airport and shoot a bunch of people. That was, for the time, like, holy shit, that we have never experienced that. And that came out of nowhere. There was even a warning beforehand. Hey, you're going to see some shit. So, like, either skip it or if close your eyes, maybe. But I felt like they were trying to do that no Russian thing, but kind of tone down a little bit and spread out throughout the game. So there's like, here's battle in the Middle East, which is already, a controversial subject, a hot topic in a lot of circles about, the wars over there and, the beef that Americans and, those in the Middle East have, And it's not like they're trying to play up on that and like shock value and, here's a divisive topic that everybody needs to talk about. Like, here's a political garbage. Not really. It's just like, it's already a touchy subject. And the fact that there's fighting over there and that's essentially where this is, already going to have some effect. And then you add the fact that there's Russians in it. So it's basically you in the Middle East fighting Russians and also fighting like Middle Eastern people. I forgot the country. I'm so sorry. I forgot the country, but it's you're in the Middle East and then you're also in like London, but there's a London mission where there's a bunch of just all these people come out and shoot a bunch of civilians and blow up some stuff, blow up buildings and take some people hostage. And it's pretty crazy. Like, that's nuts. That's not like no Russian because you're not doing it yourself, but it's still just the impact of that and how many, shootings or bombings actually happen like in other countries today. It's pretty crazy. And they were like, well, we might have to include some of that in our game just to not, make it real for people, but to like, hey, this happens in real life. So it just adds to the realism, I guess. And the one thing that's just a small touch that they added that, I mean, I don't think it's a huge deal, but it's noticeable. Some of the enemies are suicide bombers. So they just run at you and you need to shoot them, or don't shoot the bomb because they're going to blow up, or don't let them get next to you because then they're going to blow themselves up. And that's a mechanic we haven't seen before, where there's like, that's kind of not an NPC, but that's like an enemy. And a common enemy will be a suicide bomber. You need to deal with that because that's just a tactic that's been used. And it hasn't been used in games that much, or is like, there's one probably like shock suicide bomber that's like, it's in every game, you got to kill this guy no matter what. And it's like a cutscene. This one's actually like, yeah, he's just going to be out there randomly because he's a random enemy. And I thought that was insane. And I don't want to say that this is all for shock value or all for, hey, guess how like current and, with it we are, that we pay attention to world events and we want to let you know about what's happening out there, what's really happening. But it's there. I mean, there are tensions in the Middle East. Russia and us in the United States, us, they got beef a little bit. There's a lot of tension everywhere. And the fact that it's like, yeah, you're just going to be either killing those Russians or you're going to be killing someone else and then you're going to be killing them both because they're teaming up or they're both pissed at you and want to kill you. And it's just it's very current, but it's not for just the sake of, hey, this is happening, so we're just going to put that in the game. Like, just make it more, make some kind of political statement. It's just there just to add to the realism. And I probably did a terrible job of explaining the campaign, but I mean, the same characters are kind of there. So Captain Price is there, and he's basically not a rogue guy, but he's like, I'm going to do my own shit and I'm going to get the job done because that's what I do. And then you follow a couple other characters in the game, and then you make it through dealing with the Russian guy who looks like Kevin Spacey. It's weird. He's not Kevin Spacey, but he looks like him. And you're trying to take him down. You're trying to take this guy named the Wolf down, who's like, really, like, I'm not the bad guy. It's somebody else is the bad guy. And I'm like, well, okay, you're clearly a bad guy. And you have to fight through the United States Embassy. You got to do all this other stuff. And you eventually, deal with the bad guys. You get rid of the Russian guy. There's a flashback to when this girl named Farah and her brother Hadir were, captured under the Russian guy, and they had to break out of prison, and they had to like form a resistance against him. They become your allies, and you just have to, form up and fight this Russian dude and fight the Wolf, who's the other bad guy. And then, you just make your way through, you kill him, you blow stuff up. And, there are a couple twists along the way, but towards the end, then it's like, all right, you did it. You completed, you killed the Russian guy, you did it. But then, which is not a shock or a twist, but it's kind of like, oh, okay, like, that's awesome. It gets to a point where it's like, all right, so Price is assembling a squad to take out Zakhaev, the guy from Call of Duty 4, but it's his son, so it's kind of like switched it up. He's like, all right, his son is actually like competent, and he's not like a mission himself. It's just he's the bad guy taking it over, and like now he's the bad guy, he's the threat, and we have to go stop him. So Captain Price needs a task force together, and you play as Kyle Garrick, I think his name is, and he's a British guy. And, through the whole thing, he's like, I'm going to recruit you. You're on my team now. And then at the end, you see his dossier, his file, his military file. And his nickname is Gaz. And then Price is like, I don't know why they call him Gaz. I didn't know that. He didn't mention it, but he's on my team. I like him. Like, you build a relationship with Price throughout that whole game. And I thought that was a nice touch because I was like, I said before it was familiar, but it was still kind of new. Like, this isn't really a reboot of Modern Warfare. It essentially, it feels kind of like a prequel. Like, there's all this stuff happens, and then at the end, it's like Zakhaev is there. You have Gaz is there, and you're Captain Price running Squad 141. He's like, yeah, I want Soap on my team. I don't know why they call him Soap. It's classified, and it, like, that's the end. And I'm like, wait a minute. So this kind of feels like a prequel to actually modern Call of Duty 4. So you could technically swap this game for Call of Duty 3, like back those up, put this in between 3 and 4, and then kind of it makes sense. Like, it's kind of like Rogue One for Star Wars. It's like, this isn't really canon, but if you put it in, it kind of fits. Like, it kind of works. So I am enjoying that fact in that going back and paying attention to the missions, it's like a lot of this stuff is like connected, and it's kind of an woven story through fan service. Ultimately, I mean, they wanted to keep it real and new for those who may not have played the game back in 2007, but they wanted to keep it, old enough so same guys, and it's like the payoff is there for those who have played the game, myself included. I was like, that's awesome. It's the best kind of fan service. It's not forced. It's just like, oh, okay, so you were been playing as Gaz the whole time. Like that's dope. I enjoyed that. And Soap is gonna come there, and all the task force is back, and then they're gonna have to go do all these missions to defeat Zakhaev, and Nikolai is there, and it's good fan service, like the best kind. It's not cheesy, forced, anything like that. It just felt, what, this is cool. And they might continue on. They might say, okay, now the next one is, you have to do Call of Duty 4 all over again, or like it'll make you want to play Call of Duty 4 again, because it's like kind of you can relive that whole story out. Like I'm enjoying it. So the campaign was cool. And then it continues into Spec Ops, which is a mode they had in Modern Warfare 2, which is just like co-op, because you have campaign, you have multiplayer, which is just online competitive stuff, and then Spec Ops, which is their cooperative mode. So there are a couple missions you can do with your friends. I haven't played much of Spec Ops because I don't have any friends. I'm kidding, but yeah, I mean, I haven't had. It's 4-player co-op, so it's like you either need to find randos or have 3 other friends who want to do Spec Ops mode, which is, it's kind of hard to find. Back in the day, we did because we were in high school and had nothing else to do. But I mean, I will try it out just because at the end of the campaign, it says the campaign continues in Spec Ops. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's like an extra mission that's like kind of tied to the story. That's also like, yeah, this is kind of an allusion to Call of Duty 4, like that story. And so I want to try that out. I know that it's enemies don't there is an infinite amount of enemies, so you need to be careful because you can't just camp and take them out and then move forward. You got to like keep moving. It's kind of difficult. Like, you might die a bunch. Which, back to the campaign for a second, I did notice that I have been dying a lot in campaign, and I've played on like the normal mode. It's kind of difficult. Like, it's not the easiest game in the world, because there are times where it's like, okay, I have to open up these doors, and there's a guy right behind the door, and he's going to shoot as soon as I open the door. And there's no one else I can send to open the door. So I either got to find a way around or remember where he is and shoot through the door, or, throw a grenade somewhere. It's kind of tough. You need to be strategic. There are like stealth missions where you need to take out lights and then take out people in night vision who's like, they have a flashlight, and if they see you, you're dead. But you can, shoot out the lights and then turn the power off and sneak around. And there's a mission where you have to tell the embassy secretary, hey, I need you to get through this hallway and into this. You're basically on the other side of the building, and you have to direct her using security cameras and a cell phone. Like, it's really interesting, and it's difficult. It's pretty hard. I don't think I could do it on the hardest difficulty. I'm not that good. It's actually added some difficulty. So I'm assuming Spec Ops is pretty difficult as well, which is why it's 4-player co-op. You can't just do it yourself because you're just going to die all the time. So I should try that out. And the co-op, I'm going to try some, but mostly I play the multiplayer. And that's where Call of Duty makes its bones. it's, the main attraction, as you will. I mean, even Black Ops 4 didn't even have a campaign. So they're like, people just want to play the multiplayer. So we're just going to, forget a campaign. This one added a campaign, but it's also like, hey, we got the, kick-ass multiplayer that we've always had. And it delivers, that's those same visuals and sound and feels of the game that it's just added to multiplayer now. And it's not, I wouldn't want to say like dramatically improve the experience, because it's always been pretty fun, but it really adds something. It's like, I feel like I'm in just a crazy battle, and it's me against other people. And I'm actually like, I have to try, I have to find good spots to take cover. I have to, be wary of doors. Like I have to, open them and be careful. I sometimes have to shut them behind me so they don't see me behind me, or I can make sure nobody's coming. Like you have to be strategic. There are some game modes where you are only in night vision and you have to shoot using a gun with a laser. That's the only thing you can use to aim. And, anybody can see your laser because it's all dark and they have night vision too. So it's a really fun experience, and they keep adding to it, and I'm kind of decent. I have an over 1 kill death ratio. Thank you very much. Hold your applause, please. No, it's fine. I'm just a regular man like you. But I was gonna like the multiplayer no matter what, but this one is kind of exceeding my expectations. I was just like, all right, give me something like World War II or something like the original Modern Warfare, and they kind of delivered. Whereas they just added a bunch of stuff. Like if you compare it to Black Ops 4, this one has just way more stuff to do and stuff to collect and stuff to work towards. And I'm going to get into some news after this, but you can tell that they want to build it to be a great experience for people and want it to, they want to add more stuff. They want to keep doing things and making it the biggest, most, the biggest game they possibly can, and probably the best one. I don't know what their future plans are for Call of Duty, but if they just take this one and add to it and make it better, I'm fine. Like that sounds great. This is one I can see myself playing repetitively. Keep playing. They keep changing or like updating or adding new stuff. I can just see it becoming this, not the last Call of Duty, but like it's just Call of Duty Modern Warfare. We're not going to make any more of them. We're just going to add things to them. We're going to add to the campaign in Spec Ops. We're going to add to the more multiplayer maps for you guys to do. Like it's awesome that they're like taking this one as like we're putting a lot of effort into this, so nobody can accuse us of just making one just to make one and then get it out so the next one can come out. Like you can tell. And multiplayer, I'm having a blast. I don't get tired. Like at a certain point, I would get tired of playing it. It's like, man, I don't want to play Call of Duty right now. Like I'm sick of dying. I'm sick of having all these robot bees coming after me and having all these tripwires and shit and all these jetpacks, and people just, as soon as I, shoot at them, they run up a wall and, fly away. I'm sick of that. This one is slower. People are, you have to shoot them and hit them because it's more realistic firing. It's realistic guns. It's realistic explosions. It's the kill streaks are more realistic. Like you can't just have this thing that wipes out everybody. You can't have 1 million dogs just come and kill everybody. It's like, yeah, you get one missile and you get to aim it at an area. Wherever you point that laser is where the ship is going to send a missile. So if you send it in a really terrible spot, that's real life. If you shined a infrared laser at a wall and they shoot the missile at the wall, you're fucked because you didn't do anything. Why didn't you point it where people are going to be? Like it matters. So I think they've made the campaign a little bit more realistic and the multiplayer a little bit more realistic, and it just feels, like a game that, I mean, Battlefield isn't, more realistic, but it feels kind of like Battlefield, where it's like your decisions matter, how you, go about your mission matters. You got to work together. Spawns are, important. So you got to make sure to either, get out of there and find where the enemies are going to spawn and take them out, or let them come to you and, hole up somewhere, because it's not harder, but it's more realistic. So your bullets, they do, I don't want to say more damage, but it feels like they do. It feels like a real bullet. It feels like this is going to hurt you. Like a couple shots, you're dead, which is normal. That's real life, folks. If you get shot a couple times, you're not likely to live. But I am having a blast. The thing I like the most is that there are tons of things to do, meaning tons of things to work towards. And what I mean by that is the weapons, there are tons of attachments. There are like 70 weapon levels, and you get attachments through 55 of them or something like that. So that's like 20 different scopes, 20 different kinds of perks and other things. There's like 10 barrels, 10 or 5 grips on the handle with the trigger, like 7 different silencers or suppressors, or attachments to the muzzle. Like it's pretty intense at how much stuff there is, and stuff you can unlock just by playing using the gun. And that's all we want, is like, I'm going to play using this gun so I can get more stuff and level it up to make it the best gun, because I have these other attachments that are really cool. And there are even these things called kits, or like there are missions for kits. So they have had kits before, but now you can actually unlock them by doing certain missions. So it's like, I want this challenge. You do all these 6 challenges in a row, right, one after another, and you get a kit for this gun. It's unique. So it's like an all, decked out pistol, or this, machine gun that looks pretty gnarly, that's like silver and has like a cool camo that like nobody else can have unless they do that mission. So it's pretty cool. And it's something to work towards. It's something to, aim for, because I want that kit. I want my gun to look cool. And it's got some attachments that I don't have currently, and I'd want them. And, just to have it. And there's so much, like, not that it's cosmetic, but these actually do a difference, or make a difference, because that sight might be a better sight for you. The pistol attachments might make you use your pistol more. The, extended mags or the specific silencer might be the difference between you killing a bunch of people or you dying right away. Like they matter. I mean, you don't want somebody to have the optimal gun that just kills everybody and wipes them all out. But, I feel like their guns are on more of an even playing field, where there's a bunch of guns I've found that I'm like, I'm having success with this. And if I take all the attachments off, I'm not having as much. Where it's like, you have to find what works for you, what you like better. Sometimes you need, 40 bullets because you miss a lot. Or sometimes you need more accuracy because you miss a lot. In my case, I miss a lot. So I need extended mags and a different sight and other things, and a different, thing on the barrel, because I miss a lot. But, there's something for everybody. There's something for people who, I really like to be quiet and use submachine guns, but they need to do more damage. So here's a bunch of attachments for you, and here's some perks. And, it's just the customization options are insane, and there's so much to unlock that you're always doing something. You're always unlocking something, because in certain Call of Duties, there's a point where you don't unlock anything, and it's just you get up 5 levels and you got nothing. Like, whoop-de-doo. But, there's always something to unlock. There's always a new gun to use. It's always a different mission or kit to unlock or something, challenge to do. It's pretty crazy. And speaking of like all this content and stuff, the whole reason kind of for this episode and us talking about Call of Duty, I'm going to end it with some huge news that came out from Activision. So on December 3rd, the day after this episode airs, Season 1 begins. And that's kind of the process they're doing with Call of Duty multiplayer. And, Call of Duty Online, we'll say. Call of Duty Online is the app, the game on the phone. It's okay. I mean Call of Duty and their online service, their online content. So in Season 1, when that releases on December 3rd, there's just adding kind of like Fortnite does, which, I mean, everybody wants to be like Fortnite now, so you can't really fault them for wanting to do that, but it's the same kind of method. So in Season 1, there's a battle pass where you can unlock stuff, mainly guns or cosmetic things, skins and costumes and different emblems and all this other stuff. And there is a free version, free tier, and a battle pass tier. So if you buy the battle pass and you progress in the game, you unlock essentially cooler stuff, or rarer stuff, or more useful stuff, I guess. And, for every 6 levels of free where you unlock one thing, you unlock something every level in a battle pass, which is what gets you to buy the battle pass. So it's a lot like Fortnite. And they're introducing that, for the people who have some extra cash around and want these new cosmetic things. But they're also, the whole reason this season 1 is a big deal is because they are doing a massive dump of free content. So it's a bunch of maps for multiplayer, a lot of, Call of Duty 4 maps, which I'm excited to, play those again, but like look cooler. Like Shipment is back and I'm so excited. But there's new game modes, there's new Spec Ops missions, there's some new weapons, some new challenges, new ribbons, like all this new stuff you can do. That's all free. You don't need the battle pass. You don't need to do it. The battle pass will have extra stuff in it, but you're already getting enough by not having the battle pass. Like, here you go. Like, have more fun. And that's, like I said before, it really sounds to me like they're taking this seriously and saying, we are going to update the hell out of this game because the next Call of Duty is going to come out probably a year or two from now, year and a half, something like that. And it's going to be drastically different. It's going to be, I think, one in the past or another Black Ops game. So it's going to be drastically different than this game. So they have to make sure that, they keep players on this one, which I think they're going to do. If you can get to, I don't know how long the seasons are going to last, but if you can get like 5, 6, 7 seasons in, that's a lot of, new stuff that they're constantly working on to improve and try to give to us, that it's like, all right, I'm going to keep playing this a couple months from now because they keep adding stuff. They're trying to be like Fortnite because Fortnite kind of hit lightning in a bottle, but I mean, it's worth a shot. I don't think this is going to be a bad thing. Like, having more cosmetic stuff is never a bad thing. It'll get obviously some more money for them, but I'm excited because it's not like I get bored with Call of Duty, but it gets to a certain point where it's like, all right, all I can really do is prestige and get all my stuff that I've already unlocked back and get like a new emblem. Like, all right, whoop-de-doo. But now they're like, all right, when you hit 55, you can rank your officer rank up to, I think, 150 something. I don't know. But I'm only like level 35. I played it a bunch, but I am not very good. And once you get it up there and the season resets, you go all the way back down to 55. So you need to try it again and get, those levels and that rank all the way back up by playing more. So it's kind of like a reason to play, like more reasons to keep going and keep playing multiplayer, which is what we needed. We don't want this to go stale. They don't want this to go stale either. So they want to keep us engaged, keep us playing, because at a certain point, a repetitive game, if you play a repetitive game a lot, you get bored because it's like, I need some strange, I need some new, I need something else. Whereas this one, it's like, we'll try to make it as different as possible and as, extensive as possible. So there's all different kinds of guns. We're adding new guns. We're adding all your maps from, all the other Call of Duty games that you enjoyed. We're adding new game modes. We're adding new Spec Ops missions. We're nerfing guns so you don't get pissed off at it. We're, updating things and making your feet not sound as loud. It just sounds like they're taking this seriously, which I'm impressed at. And I think that's my overall thought, because I've covered kind of everything, and I just wanted to give props to Activision because it sounds like they're doing it right. Your $60 is worth so ever much of your time that if you found out it was being a waste of your time, like, it's a waste of your money. Like, if I'm spending only a couple hours and I get bored or the campaign sucks, like, what did I spend a bunch of money for? I might as well have waited and, get it for $20, a couple months from now, because it'll be the same game than when I picked it up, first day. This one, it'll be not drastically different, but it'll be different in a couple months. I'm looking forward to what it'll be and, where it grows and what their next step is. Because if they just want to, pull a Blizzard and say, this is our Call of Duty, we're going to improve on it for the next couple of years and then maybe release a sequel sometime, like, and just make a bunch of money from this game by adding new stuff to it and improving it, that'd be cool. That's a new move for Call of Duty. So I'm interested. Or they can just go back to their old ways and release another Call of Duty next year and then forget about this one and then keep going and run out of, fake wars and just have to, remaster every single game they've come out with. So we'll see. But in the end, honestly, if you got this far, I appreciate it. That's awesome. Listening to me for 45 minutes, that's quite a feat. I mean, I don't even want to listen to me for 45 minutes, but Some of you did, and you're awesome. But in my overall thoughts, I think you should pick it up. I think it's a new, fresh Call of Duty that if you played the old one, you're going to love this one. If you haven't played the old one, you're still going to like this. Like it's not, super confusing that you're like, oh, what is going on? Who are these people and why do I care? They kind of don't explain that. They're just like, these people are cool and here's this cool story where it's not even about Captain Price. He's just there. So it's like it feels new, but is also old. And I am old. So I guess it, is right in my wheelhouse of stuff I played and loved back in the day, but it's also the thing I was asking for, where it's a new Call of Duty. It feels new, sounds great, looks beautiful, plays pretty well, and is probably the most realistic war game, not war game, but realistic like first-person shooter you'll see out there right now, short of like a VR simulator. Like that, I'm not touching that. But, I'm having a blast, and I think you will too. So go pick it up, go try it, go rent it. It's cheap on most, Black Friday deals and Cyber Monday deals, and just the holiday season. You can get it pretty cheap. I don't know how much the Battle Pass is, but you might be able to get like a bargain by buying the game and the Battle Pass at the same time. I don't know, but this one is definitely worth your money because they're putting their own resources and effort into it to make it the best possible Call of Duty experience you could ask for, which is a far cry from what Activision has been doing for a while. So I think they're going in the right direction, and I'm happy to see where it goes. This has been this week's episode on Call of Duty. I am Andy. This is Board Certified Gaming Podcast. Check us out on Twitter, Instagram, all of the other episodes we have. Subscribe to the channel on YouTube, subscribe to our Apple Podcast, follow us on Spotify, do all that fun stuff. And yeah, share this video, like it, comment, review, check out our Patreon. And yeah, we love you guys. I'll see you next week. Have a good one.